So it's not formal at all. It's very, very casual. Just two brilliant people having a conversation. And that's it, right?
Okay.
So thank you very, very much. Appreciate you coming here today.
Thanyou for having me.
It's always good to see you.
Likewise.
Always. Yep.
Likewise.
I started this conversation a couple of months ago, and it's been so fascinating for me and so fulfilling.
Yes.
To talk to people about their self-perceptions, their identity, and their story to themselves. I think we're all telling ourselves a silent story of like who we're supposed to be in the world.
Yeah.
Or who we'd like to be in the world, you know, and we make so many decisions around that silent discussion that doesn't really get had. So it's so fun to me to have this conversation, you know what I mean, even just for, you know, a while, like, but you're somebody that I'm very curious about because you are so brilliant. And
likewise.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And you are active in your brilliance.
Thank
so
you.
Like you're doing things and you're creating things that weren't there before, and you're diligent and you're patient and you're like, these things are evident whether or not I'm standing right next to you. I can still see these things. You know what I mean? So I'm very curious about like who you are to you. You know what I mean? Like when you were a little girl, like who did you see yourself as in the world? Or who did you see around you that you wanted to emulate or you wanted to reference for like what you could become or what you could do? Like what was that like for you? Like little Amanda.
I was definitely shy.
That
was and I was someone that I grew up like all across the country.
Okay.
And so I spent a significant part of my life actually in Philly. And growing up, I was always curious.
Okay.
And then I found myself being driven by my curiosity to discover new, different things I wouldn't necessarily want to do, but I was just called to. And so that's kind of how I was. I grew up primarily with my mother and my two brothers, and my father at one point, but then they divorced when I was in the 8th grade. I was just someone who was just always curious. I was growing up as a child. I was the type of child that would be out in the fields with a lunchbox collecting ants. But it'd be like that, you know, the opaque lunchbox. So I would collect the ants and stuff. You can't see it until you open it. And so I was always bringing things home.
A surprise,
I was bringing things home always. Even like birds that were injured and trying to nurse them. Collecting bees. Tadpoles. Just normal things. You know?
Like that reminds me of when I was young. My brother, I'm fortunate that I had an older brother. Who, like, he would feed ants to spiders. So
Really?
Like he'd find a spider in the field that just had a web somewhere. And then he would just like, it sounds so cruel, but
you know, that's discovery.
It's quite alright. It's just nature. It's just the world.
He gets to see.
It's like you just cripple an ant. Like you don't kill it. You just cripple it.
No, poor ant.
Yeah, I know, right? Then you feed it and you watch the spider come out and like, you know, wrap it up in the web and.
That's interesting. I could hang out with you.
No, it's really dope. But it was also like, for me, it was really, really dope to see the world outside of humans and things. Like, obviously, you know, growing up in a urban environment, there isn't as much nature out here as there is in rural parts of the world.
That's very true.
To be able to just explore that way, you know what I mean, and investigate things and be curious. Like I thought that was so dope. And
create your own world. That's what it was too.
Right. And you ride the wave of your curiosity. Like you just, what's this? And then you really get to like delve into it.
That's literally, I think, what carried me on throughout my entire life. Was answering what if. It wasn't like trying to seek validation for certain things. It wasn't like, oh, I wanted to create this particular career for myself. It was just literally, what if I tried this? And then, oh snap, people showed up for me one day.
Right.
I didn't know that could happen when I was a young person.
Yeah.
I was like, let me do this and see where it takes me. And it's been, I think, the greatest experience of my life. Yeah. And I get teary-eyed because as we think about, I'm thinking about like different parts of my life throughout my journey.
Yep.
And
let me know if you want to get you a tissue.
No, but the people I've met along the way. That will always, carry and be with me.
Absolutely. I've talked about this. I've talked about this even on the podcast numerous times. I don't want to always go to it, but it's such a powerful thing for me. The realization that people who for whatever reason decided to mentor me or show me a thing or teach me something or just make time for me and pay attention to me. Yes. It was that was such a selfless act. There's no way.
And speak life into you and your vision.
Yeah.
And you even know.
Right. There's no way that they saw me as somebody to exchange with. It was purely pouring into me. You know what I mean? And so for whatever reason that was, it was it gave me such confidence.
Yes.
It unearthed confidence. You know what I mean? Confidence was able to come up out of me.
Yes.
Right? And at the same time, it also gave me an example to follow when I have something to give freely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're the coolest people in the world to me.
Yeah.
So I'm okay, this is how I put myself in that stratosphere.
Yeah.
Give freely.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And give time and give attention and then give information. And all those types of things is that's the cool stuff. That's
it really
cool.
is. It really is.
Yeah.
I'm just as I'm tearing up, because I'm thinking about different people in my life, particularly when I was in college, and before the GEM Project, which is basically, as you know, it's a youth-led organization. But during the time when I was a college student, I realized I didn't take photos about different things or experiences, right? And so during that moment, I was around my senior year, and by that time, the GEM Project, was 2 years, you know. But during my senior year, I went to speak to a guy named Chaz Johnson. He's late right now, but and I had this vision. I was like, hey, what if we did this thing? And maybe I know you do documentary at Dana Cotton Library, and can you come around? Can we film people? Can we talk about the GEM Project, the story, or can we also get other young people who I know who are dope and you can film them for me? And then he was he told me he thought I was crazy, but he wanted to pour into me and said, he's why not? Let's see if we can do it. Yeah. And through that, that experience, I ended up filming a lot of different people and just getting their take on life. Kind of when you're doing that, but it was that person who took a chance, and it was back in the day, okay? So he gave me some VHS tapes at the end. I didn't end up getting it developed in cuts until 2 years later, and I went back to see if I can go see him. And I learned that he passed away. But I also reflect on this woman. Her name was Bashira Brown. She was a 2-time breast cancer survivor. And I had filmed her, and in a documentary style, and talked to her about her experiences, because she, at the time, she revealed that she had breast cancer when she was 26. Okay. And she spoke life into what my vision was for the organization at that time. And it was just that energy and just being able to reflect on her experiences and her thoughts, about where we could be in the future, that really carried me. And so I'm thinking about all these people that came in my life who are no longer here. Right. But that moment in time was critical. Yes. Because I was, sometimes you never know. You can go either way. Yeah. Someone can either speak life to you and they push you to the next level, or they can literally try to break you down and you actually believe it. But I was fortunate that I never believed it. Yeah. Right? I could have. Yeah. Because people said stuff, back when I was younger.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I'm grateful for those
times. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Something that you remind me of is, I've observed this and experienced this countless times now, that so many yeses are just an ask away. Mm-hmm. Like, so often you could ask somebody with something and not really believe that there's a yes. Yeah. And the yes comes so quickly and so earnestly. Yeah. And it's from people that are busy. Yes. That know more than you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That these people, their time is more valuable. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't pay them for what you're asking for. Yeah. But the yes comes so quickly and so earnestly. And it's like, one, it shows, for me, it has shown up in that, okay, this is a test for me to be worthy of the yes I just got. Yes. Right? For sure. And whenever I haven't shown myself worthy of the yes, I realize that, like, I fumbled that one. Yeah. Nothing happened outside of me fumbling the thing. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't whatever excuse I might have come up with wasn't valid. Whatever inconvenience there was wasn't the issue. Mm-hmm. It was like, no, that was a dream come true yes that I fumbled. Mm-hmm. And then when I haven't fumbled it, it's just the exact opposite. Like, oh, I made the most of something invaluable. Or I did right by it at least. Yes. And so I know that's what to do. Because
you're deserving. You're deserving.
As long as I show up, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like, and oftentimes the yes came with additional help. Yeah. Like an additional, leg up along the way.
It
does.
Know what I mean? Yeah.
Because the intention might have been earnest, but maybe I was just not mature enough for the moment. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Those are those lessons. Yeah. And you learn, it's kind of like your life is kind of this repertoire of lessons and tools, and you apply it to different scenarios. Yep. It's like that.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And then, like, it's given me confidence to lean into things that are beyond my scope and scale. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and not as a matter of, like, confidence of like, can I or can't I? Yeah. My reach, what do they call it? It's like your reach has to be further than your
sight, maybe.
Or arm's length or whatever. Yes. But it's like I'm only interested in things that are too much for me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That require more people, that require more information, that require more study, that require patience and more time. Right? Like, I'm not interested in something I can actually do right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm only interested in things like, it's going to take me a little while to actually.
And it might force you to delegate.
Right. Or definitely force me to delegate. Yes. Right? And those are the areas of the discomfort that are signals to me, like, this is right. Yeah. This is worthy of the effort. It's like, you know what I mean? I'm going to have to share this with somebody. Yeah. I'm going to at least have to share with them that this is what I'm trying to do, and then have an accountability partner.
Yes, you know what I mean? That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's
so important to have an accountability partner.
Yeah. Yeah. But so much of that, in my experience, came from those people who were accountability partners when I wasn't asking for one or didn't even realize that was a thing. Yeah. And now I know that's part of the thing. It's like, no, there's somebody that can keep me in check.
Grounded. Yeah. And you can lean in to a network of people who walked the path that you're about to walk. Yeah. Right? And I think that's a beautiful experience to find comfort that you're surrounded by people who've been in that scenario before. So you can always lean in and ask questions. Yeah. And it's coming from a lived experience. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, because it's the thing that we never get to do. Mm-hmm. We never get to do what we did again. Yeah. But when somebody's coming along behind us asks for help, it's like, oh, that's my if I could do it all over again, let me show you exactly how I do it. Yeah. And we get to do that when, like, somebody comes up behind us and asks for help, or when we're asking for somebody that's even further along.
It's also reciprocal, right? Yeah. Like, it's I had a beautiful experience just today. There was a particular young man who sometimes ask questions because he's trying to develop his nonprofit or organization. So he asks me a couple questions every now and then.
Yeah.
And when he first started, he's like, "Hey, where's this?" And I just like gave him some resources. And then maybe a year later, he approaches me. He's like, "Yo, I did it."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "You know the organization." I'm like, "Oh, you did it!" And then surely today, a few days before today, he was asking me another question about just trying to get approval for certain things, and I responded. And then come to find out, I get also an email about a donation from a family foundation on behalf of the person who I was in contact.
Oh, isn't
that nice?
Absolutely.
I was not expecting that.
Right.
And
that's fantastic.
And that's how you can continuously help, and you can never think that you may know more than someone, or someone who's on the receiving end cannot turn around and help you.
Absolutely.
It happens all the time. And I think that's beautiful when that does happen.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Oh, that's so great.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So let me ask you, where would you credit your sense of vision to?
Vision? That's a good question.
Okay.
Sense of vision.
Because you're obviously.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I'm sure you're somebody who's been offered a job here.
Yeah. People always tell me.
And you're like,
no, because that's
not what I'm trying to do.
And I was just, saying, people are like, man, you could make big right now.
Right. Yeah.
I'm like, well, sometimes the vision is greater than the aim type of.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because I can see the path, and sometimes that comes with delaying gratification or delaying what can be perceived as gratification, right? Because the vision I had way back when I was a young person, and then being able to see it start to play out in different stages, and it's now coming up. I'm like, patience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's beauty with being validated from hearing from the people who are affected by the work, and knowing that you're on the right path.
Yeah.
And you can feel it. It can be a visceral feeling like you're getting close.
Right.
And that's not the time to stray.
Right.
And it's not the time to, step back for something that's easy, right? Not to say that any job is easy. It's not.
Right.
But when you feel convicted, and you will know when that moment arises, that's not the time to.
Yeah.
It's the time to actually.
Right.
Bump it up a little bit more. All right. Yeah. And listen to all the many little lessons that came before this moment in the present day, so for you to know that you're on the right track. Right.
Yeah.
I don't need. That's solid.
Right.
I mean, it feels really solid.
Yeah.
There's just, I just think there's so many different things to get to where you are right now.
Yeah. It's like
you don't, and it's beautiful. When you're able to cultivate a community. And inspire a culture of the way work should be. Right?
Yeah.
Where you can be in a space where you truly care about your people, and your people care about each other.
Yeah.
And you don't create opportunities of threat, which is very prevalent in different types of work environment, right?
Yep.
Why would you want to give that up?
Right. Yeah.
Because if you do right by the mission, you can create something beautiful for everybody, not just for yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think that there's no money can't buy that.
Right.
Yeah.
And the money will immediately not be enough. The second you take it, it'll fall short.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah.
Even down to the literal gross and net of
my
a paycheck.
And sometimes peace is
priceless.
You can't buy.
Right.
You can't buy peace.
There's something.
Especially as you get older, you start to realize how important that is.
Absolutely.
And how like your life is important, and it's so fragile.
Yeah, and when you have a sense of yourself and a sense of your path, like the things that would disturb or impose on that, it's the conversation is never worth having. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like your peace. There's nothing worth imposing on your peace.
Because I've done both. I've worked at other places and worked, it's like Zen, peace.
Yeah. And here's the thing, like there's peace even in the challenge of your path. Yeah. It's not like there is only ease.
Oh, it's not easy. Oh no, it's not.
Right? But the peace like this is actually what I'm trying to do. This is what my path
towards.
It's like paving a road. Or making anything beautiful. Yeah. The process is the ugliness. Yeah. To make a beautiful painting,
it will test you.
A lot of colors that don't go together with the first layer.
And your values will be tested.
Yeah.
Your integrity will be tested in different ways. And that's when
Yeah.
If you are if you're the right person to deliver that.
Right. Right. It's a gift for you to have your principles challenged.
Constantly.
It's always a gift for you to be able to show yourself to yourself. Yeah. And those moments give you that chance.
And at every level, it will come back in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, sometimes the most valuable lesson that I got is being honest for myself. By myself.
Yeah.
People lie to themselves all day. Right? They can. But if you want to withstand the test of time, you have to be real with yourself. Yeah. I don't care be real as much as you can for others too, but be real for yourself. Yeah. Because that's what's going to keep the vision and your mission untainted.
Yeah. 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 Like we say these things, or we hear these things so casually, but the ability to look at yourself in the mirror and smile at what you see, like smile at the person that you see, is invaluable. Like you can't put a number on that type of thing. Yeah. And there are so many things in life that will try to threaten that. Like it'll threaten that moment of looking yourself in the eye. Yeah. You know what I mean? I had a moment this morning. This morning I had a fantastic meditation. Fantastic.
Wow.
Like one of those ones, right?
Yes.
And it inspired me to write I would call it a love letter to somebody that I had an unpleasant business interaction with this year.
Oh, right? I've had those.
Yeah.
I've had those. I might try that.
Because what the meditation brought up for me was, I'm thinking about, the year, there have been some wildly colorful challenges that I've experienced this year, right? Yes. And this interaction was one of them. Like this made the list of things that I still think about. Yeah. You know what I mean? I was like, man, that thing was a moment.
Yeah, it really was, yeah.
But it got me to thinking that it's a fortune to be challenged, to have my principles challenged. Yes. Right? Especially when I don't have a script for it. Things is just coming at me. Yeah. And I'm like, in the moment to moment, I have to what are my principles here? What's the truth for me here? And what's earnest for me? Not just what I will and won't do, but things like I said I would give more than what they're asking for. Yeah. Still do that. Even though they're threatening this way and bullying this way and trying to put pressure on me this way. Oh, wow. In the midst of all that, I still got to keep my word. Like that doesn't get to change just because they're, being disingenuous. Yeah. Right? But along with that, it was like, I got to see myself be the person that I would be all over again if I had the chance to. Which means...
And be proud.
Yeah, and be proud. And I said that in the letter. This left me with so much pride. Yes. Because it's one thing to have a reference of this person, this person in history did this or this life story.
Yeah.
And you get to pull from what Malcolm X did or
Yeah.
Martin Luther King did or Maya Angelou did or you know what I mean? It's another thing when you get to pull from yourself. And you get to say, should I find myself in an experience like this again? I get to pull from me and a less mature me than whatever I am the next time around.
Wow.
You know what I mean? I get to pull from young, not knowing what I'm doing.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes. I think if I had to look back and think about some lessons from unpleasant business experiences is one, stand your ground. Yeah. Advocate for yourself. Believe your people. Those are the things that I would always remember. Yeah. Also, believe your people, stand your ground. Yeah. I remember, so I had this funny, like, I've talked to a couple of my partners about this numerous times. I enjoy disagreeing with my partners. I enjoy it. I value it, I should say. I also enjoy it, but I value it in what I really mean. Because if I can disagree with my partners, I can disagree with anybody. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I know that, disagreement doesn't mean enmity. Like, we're not enemies because we disagree. Yeah. Right? And we disagree on a thing that your perspective is completely valid. Yes. And my perspective is completely valid. And we can either attempt to find a resolution or a landing that we can both stand on, or we can arrive at a place where we give each other full grace to stand in different places. It's like, I heard you. That's amazing. I understand you. I empathize, and I disagree. Yeah. And you're going to stand on that plateau, and I'm going to stand on this one, and it's going to be all right. Yes, it will. But either way, the disagreement doesn't mean that we have an issue. It just means we see an idea from different perspectives. You know what I mean? And like, most of the time we should. Yeah. Like, it's a miracle to see something from this, like, from two different perspectives the same way. That's crazy. Unless it's compromise of integrity. Yeah. But even that, it's like, my integrity is wrapped up in my history. It's wrapped up in stories that I've been told, stories that I've told myself. That's true. Like, all these other things, you know what I mean? But whatever the case is, it's like, as long as we're not making enemies out of each other, then there are no enemies at the table. We just disagree on a thing. Yeah. And that's okay. That's a beautiful way. Yeah, I think so. It's been so helpful. So helpful. Because, like, it also, like, minimizes the importance of the thing that we're disagreeing over. It's not that important. That's true. We don't have to agree. You know what I mean? If we agree, cool, then we just move along in agreement. But we don't have to. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's true. And it helps to recenter, like, again, who am I? What are my principles? Are they in need of review? Yeah. Because that's another thing. Maybe my principles aren't exactly principles. Maybe they're preferences. Yeah. Maybe I need to review my, like, maybe it's not exactly what I'm saying. Maybe it's not about respect or whatever thing I'm chalking it up to. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, like, it really gives me, it's giving me that opportunity. And that's so good for you to be able to have that space to think within yourself, for yourself. But again, it's like, that's part of the value of having those interactions with my partners. Yeah. Because, like, in that space, I am completely open and available to reviewing my own stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because, like, I know that these people have my best interests at heart. You know, just like I know I have theirs. Like, I'm not trying to make them wrong. They're not trying to make me wrong. Yeah. You know? But it's been so valuable for, like, when I step out into the world and talk to or interact with or do business with anybody else. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's amazing. So I want to ask you this. What is your relationship with ambition? Ambition. I eat ambition for breakfast. No. It depends on life stages. I hear you. It depends on the life stage. Yeah. Oh, man. Ambition. Yeah, well, Ambition, I think for me today, is what can improve, quality of life.
Yeah.
And not just for me, but for those I love and those within, or however they want to take that. But not to my own detriment, right?
Yeah.
My own well-being.
Yeah.
Not to be a sacrifice.
Right.
In the process to the point where there's no more. Back in the day when I was younger, it was like, go hard, go home. Yeah. I've had, kind of like basic life, things that you're supposed to do. Like, man, drink water, you know what I mean? Like, that was like, I was like so focused to the point that I had, when I was at a particular place, I had a friend try to stop by to check on me to see how I'm doing, and she knocks on the door, and I open it, and I start to talk to her, and then her voice started sounding like a chipmunk to me, and then before you know it, I was out. She said I was out for a while, and that was like a wake-up call. Drink water. Don't. It's like, how hot is it in this space? You have an air conditioner. You just thought it was. You didn't care to turn it on. It's about making sure that you center your wellness while you're also supporting for the greater good, right? And so that's kind of my relationship with ambition. I'm very much committed still in trying to be a part of the process of creating something and leaving something behind that will continue beyond my own existence. Right? And so with that, it comes I sort of like start to remove myself from this idea where it's not necessarily about myself, but kind of like, how can I make this work beyond me? Right? And so that's kind of what my relationship is. It's like, how can this work beyond? Me and whomever could come. How can we create pathways? That's kind of what my thoughts are always.
Right. I've been studying this book lately for a while, lately, like months.
Okay.
Not a big book.
Okay.
But I think that concepts and ideas are so dense and so profound. It's called the Master Key System.
Okay.
And one of the things that it talks about that I'm using as a filter for ambition is like creativity and constructiveness. And to your point, constructiveness includes my personal well-being. Like, it can't be to my detriment and still be constructive. I can't martyr myself.
Because what are you creating?
Right.
Because you're going to actually create a process that will continue to be as someone's detriment. I feel like.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it'll be an integral part of it. It's like, somebody got to pass out for this thing to actually, be worthy. It's like, no. Ambition filtered through creativity and constructiveness is the only healthy ambition. Like running and gunning for the sake of running and gunning isn't constructive.
Nope.
That's hamster on a wheel. Literally.
Yeah, it really is.
Like
I wish I had known that.
Yeah.
But then I sometimes wonder, well, then would I have been able to do X, Y, and Z? I would have. And it's funny because I didn't want to cut you off, but like, I also think of another entrepreneur who said something to that effect too. It's kind of like, well, I wonder would I have been able to do X, Y, and Z if I didn't burn myself.
Right.
I mean, he probably would have been able to, may have looked differently. Right. And I think people will have a better you and a better experience. And I think that's kind of like we have this culture of like where we gotta go hard or go home. I'm not too sure about if that's still the same way it was when I was, it's kind of like the rest. Rest, self-care. Soft life. I'm like, where was the soft life?
Right.
When I was
10 years ago, where was all of this?
Yeah, but I think it's important to center that because you can be made a better person. Through that.
And the entity, the work, the initiative won't be as good as it can be if you're not as good as you can be. And you know, the speculation, the question of like, would I've been able to do what I did? You know, there's two possible answers.
Yeah.
Like, maybe you wouldn't have been able to. Maybe you would have done even more than you did.
Exactly.
Like you can't, you know what I mean, exactly calculate for the value of the thing.
Yeah.
There you may have outdone yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you'll never know. So like, what's the point of really speculating on it?
Yes.
But being healthy is always a better option than not being healthy.
It definitely is. Because you will feel it as you get older. Yeah. And
then the follow-up for ambition, like, what's your relationship with gratitude?
Every day. Every day. Every day.
Yeah.
I mean,
do you have like a certain practice or anything in particular that centers it for you?
I see it every day when I wake up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, your gratitude itself as a practice is tested when you have been pushed in a place where you feel like you've lost everything. Right? So I was in a really difficult space not even too long ago, and it wasn't necessarily like lost everyone per se, but literally I was in a rock and a hard for the first time in my life. I couldn't see the other side. Yeah. Like I literally, you know, couldn't see the other side. And it had nothing to do with work.
Right.
It was literally, I couldn't see the other side. And I'm someone that contingency plan, boom, boom. But then when it's all out, then you're looking like, God, like, what the hell? You know what I mean? Like, what now? Because I can't see. But you know what? I was like, there's beauty. Yes. There is beauty. I can't see it now. And I'm grateful because gratitude is the survival. It can be a real space.
It's like
so it's a real space to really be in, you know.
It's like in case of emergency, break glass. Like gratitude is always a thing that you can break the glass and hold on to, and like something will unearth to be genuinely grateful for.
Yeah. And also is to be grateful for the smallest thing, right? And so I think for me, for a practice, is trying to find pockets of time where I'm paying attention to everything. Like literally paying attention to everything. And different parts of the year, it was different things. Whether it's like walking really early, going for a very long walks, paying attention to the veins on leaves. You know what I mean? That type of paying attention to, and just looking at the sky and just like I was taking pictures of bees, like to the point where I was like, let me touch you. I was petting a bee on a flower. Like let me touch you real quick, right? And I was like, I am not fearful. Touch you real quick. And when you are in a practice of appreciating the small things, you will appreciate the big things. And I think it's important to appreciate the small things because everything that you have can be taken away. You know what I mean? Everything you have.
And it's a reminder, whether it's, you know, the veins of a leaf, you know, the texture and touch of a bee,
and life,
counting stars, feeling yourself breathing, like all these things that we can easily take for granted. They're also reminders of like life is so much bigger than the task I'm doing,
of course,
or the work I'm focused on. Like that's not life. You know what I mean, even if I let it take up the majority of my consciousness throughout the day, that's not life. There's so much more life to life than these things. And we are in receipt of all of it. You know what I mean? Like we're truly in receipt of so much life that goes unaccounted for.
And it's realizing that you've arrived already.
You
know? Like really appreciating that you have arrived already. That you should live your life as if this could be your last.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like this moment, I should be as happy as if I was to achieve that grand vision versus the way I am right now.
Yeah.
Am I happy right now?
Right.
And if I'm not, how can I work towards it? Right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, sometimes I go into delirious. I don't know if you see, sometimes I post on these Facebook stuff. Sometimes I do. Because I really am in love with life.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally this moment.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there's something to be said for living your life as if your dreams have already come true.
And believing in it.
And even if in this moment, the dream that's on your mind hasn't come true, you are still living a life of dreams that have come true. Yeah. You know what I mean? They just, once a dream gets checked off the list, we're not thinking about it as much anymore. Yeah. But it absolutely happened. Yeah. You know, and some dreams are articulated and written down and crystallized, and some dreams are more vague and nonetheless it came, like, we're living a life that we hoped for, dreamed for, prayed for. Definitely. Like, it's a reality now, so much so that we could forget about it. Yeah. We could forget, I do whatever, have these relationships. I do live in this place, or I do. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, it's like even like, let's say things that even friendships. Let's take it back. Not even a business. There was a space and time where I did not want to be surrounded too much around the people who were going as hard, going hard. Like, you know, back in the 20s, I had my crew. Team No Sleep. But I was like, I wanted real friendships to do life with. Yeah. You know, and I didn't want to just talk about like how many hours I stayed up. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then realizing now I'm in this space where I have friends that I'm doing life with. Literally friends I'm doing life with, who see me beyond what I could do. Yeah. And who want to know if I ate. You know? You know, those are friends that be like, hey girl, how did you eat? I got young people calling me up like, I don't even know where they get this from though. Because you know, I improved. But they're like, oh, Miss Amanda, like, just checking in to see how you're doing. Is everything good? You eat, you drink? I'm like, yes. Just checking in. Like, you're checking in. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it is.
I appreciate it. I
get a wellness check. That's awesome.
Yes, I get multiple wellness checks from them. I'm like, what's going on?
So, can I ask you this? Who are your heroes?
Dang. People I'm like, I work with, my family, from what the things that we've gone through. You know what I mean? We went through a lot. People who invest time, not just with me, but with just people. My young people, they're heroes. The way they apply the things that they've experienced and they go and apply it to other spaces to advocate and do things. Those people are my heroes. For sure. My friends, they're my heroes. My friends who are like even amazing new moms, fathers, doing life. You know what I mean? Trying to make a way. You know what I mean? Just being.
Yeah. You know, I asked that question, you know, in this kind of related to the.
You're good. I'm enjoying this.
I'm happy to hear that. I'm truly interested. This is the conversation I'm most interested with people. I love this conversation.
This is so much. Great.
And the hero part, the hero question or conversation, I think is so valuable because nobody's superhuman. No. We're all human. And, you know, I was just talking to Amanda yesterday.
Oh, nice.
About this, about how, as much as we're all human, some people show up in a way that shows a fuller capacity of what humanity can look like. Like some people take up the task to a greater degree, and they do it voluntarily. And they do it repeatedly.
Yeah.
And they do it in different degrees and different aspects and different arenas. And we get to watch those people. And not that they're perfect, not that they're a better human, but we get to see these examples of people show the greater capacity. And everything costs. Yeah. So like that cost them something. Yeah. You know what I mean? We
there's a scale that dips.
Yes.
You know,
but seeing that is like, all right, there's certain things that I know I'm willing to pay if it means that I could show up at a fuller capacity of my own human. Wow. I'm absolutely willing to pay scrolling on social media.
Oh,
You know what I mean? I'm absolutely willing to pay.
That's true.
The gratification of junk food to actually have health. Yeah. Like I'm willing to pay those things. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like seeing the heroes, they show
it does take sacrifice.
Yeah. And it's like it's so awesome to maintain a mental awareness of people who have shown up fully. You know what I mean? And that I got to observe. I got to see those people or talk to those people, listen to those people. Like they're real in my life. They're not just real in history books, not just real in encyclopedia, not just real in Wikipedia.
You know what's funny? No, but I'm also thinking about people who are like this, even like who I admire. Like, for example, one of my colleagues, Kalina Berryman, she does amazing work. And I just, you know, the way her capacity to love in different ways and show up in different spaces that she is. I think that's a beautiful. What I was going to say is you can definitely, you know, maximize your space and time. Yeah. You know, and like, again, I'm going back to my other years. Yeah. And I did some wild things, you know, but, you know, even things like I didn't own like a TV for many, many years. Okay. And it was like, I used to treat things like almost like a boot camp. You wake up, do this, boom, boom, boom. But ultimately, when you pour in, you can provide more. Yep. And that's one of the lessons that I learned as, you know, the years went on, is finding spaces to pour in and enjoy the life that you have too.
Yeah, for sure. Can I ask you, because I think about for myself, there are certain instances where I have outdone myself or made myself proud in my execution or achievement or what have you. And, you know, those things also serve for me as like breadcrumbs of like, not just to do that again, but to outdo myself in today's version of me. Oh, you know what I mean? Like to be willing to lean into the stretching of myself. Yeah. Lean into the discomfort, lean into the unfamiliar territory. Yeah. Because when I've done that in the past, it's like I've added kind of notches to my belt that remind me that of my particular specialness. Right? Like we're all special, and I get to look at the script of mine.
That's amazing. I mean?
And you've done amazing things.
Oh, thank you.
So like, what are the things that you look at in the work that you've done or the person that you've been throughout your time? Yeah. And like, you know what? No, that was a gold star moment.
You know, it's not any particular moment. I think there's pivotal moments that could have changed things for me. So definitely Chas Johnson, having the courage to speak to him to see if he can do this thing for me. Yeah. That enabled me to go back to the campus to search for him, and then leaning into that sense of sadness and wanting to still continue, right? And I think as you get older,
Yeah.
and not even just older, just in general,
Mm-hmm.
life and its fragility
Yes.
becomes more prominent
Yes.
in your sphere. And I think there's so many other moments, whether it was, taking a sabbatical, a piece of time where I was like, let me reevaluate the organization, going back to going back to school, going to grad school, using it as my capstone, doing it, making the fellowship, pilot, like little points of that.
Yeah.
Creating a wish list of what I would envision for a paid year-long fellowship, and then having a wish list of people who would invest and support, and then looking back and seeing it happen, seeing that most of it started to happen. I think the courage to push on, being able to let go from what was once like a full-time, I worked at a full-time position. I was a, project director for another organization out in the city. And I was on the trajectory, the radar, the CEO. Love you, call me Amazing Amanda. Like I had allies in every department. I was like, there was like 700 employees. I was like, got the award, I was in my jam. But at my highest moment, I pulled back.
Okay.
That was an intentional decision that I was going to take that leap and bet on me. Right? Completely.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
I gave like a 45-day notice. I knew they were going, because I was going to set them up good. Okay?
Yeah.
And I was okay.
Right.
But I was like, that was a pivotal moment because they're like, yo, man, like, you good, we want to promote, you want to do this. I'm like, things are good. Like, what is going on? What's next for you?
Yeah.
I can say, I'm about to slay some dragons.
Yeah.
I'm slaying some dragons. I'm like, what do you mean?
Right.
I'm out here going to slay some dragons.
Yes.
And that's what I said. And I didn't have a plan. I don't recommend that. But I was like, no, so when I say that I didn't have a plan, it was literally, there wasn't a guarantee.
Right.
And it wasn't like I saved up anything. It was more so I was going to bank on a strategy and run with it to fund everything.
Yeah.
Right? And so my strategy was kind of like, okay, well, that's a whole different. I think that's a little bit too technical how I did things.
Okay.
But in a sense, what I was trying to figure out was, and I also think every organization is a business, right? And so the work that you do and you support the community, that is definitely something that can be free for them. But then there's also another aspect of way you can think about things like, earned income or services that. And so basically my immediate strategy was like, okay, let me just, do some support services that will be underneath and supporting other organizations and using the earned income to be able to pilot and hire staff and hire and support the program's pilot. And then apply for a grant or a micro grant I started. And so that's kind of like how that happened. And it's banking on that idea, making it work, and then see it fly. You know what I mean?
I mean, but you just said something that's really, really valuable, I think, is that there is such a critical value in establishing and delineating between the work and the business. And the business keeps the work like on the table. Like the work doesn't keep itself on the, you can't just work to generate more work. You know what I mean? Because again, it goes back to like your own well-being and livelihood and that of the team, and everybody doing more work is not gonna take care of everybody. Some focus, significant and substantial focus, has to be given to the business of it. And whether the business is in the same vein as the work or if it's in a separate pot over here, and then that allows you to see the work over there. But so often I find, whether it's in folks that are doing like community-based work and nonprofit work, or folks that are doing for-profit work, or creatives and artists, there is an idea that I just lock in on the work and it'll just
pay
bubble
for
up
itself.
and bubble up. Yeah, and it's like
yeah.
That is a possibility. It's not a plausibility,
and it could be dangerous.
And it can be very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for mentioning that.
No, it could be dangerous because even with the state of our country right now, you know what I mean? There's a lot of things that can go left, and so it's important for us to really think through what are the ways in which we can sustain ourselves outside of being too reliant on one source.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's kind of like how I started to think through certain things. And sometimes, you're going to be in a situation, or some people can be in a situation where everything is folding, meaning maybe something got delayed.
Yeah.
Or someone messed up.
Yep.
It could be multiple things all at the same time. Right?
Yep.
And so you can be tested.
Yep.
You can be tested.
Yeah.
But when you start to think of yourself as, like a business and an entity, you can safeguard certain things that could happen. Or you might have something that starts to grow.
Right.
And as you work, on other things, but then that thing that's growing can actually sustain when everything else falls.
Yeah.
Right? Or everything else gets threatened.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So
there's something about the idea of being a professional person that I'm fascinated with. Like the idea that, there's so many business tenets and business principles that if we would apply them to our personal life, we would have a much stronger personal life. Like there is nobody argues or contests the value of communication in business. You have to communicate.
Yeah.
Right? And communicate doesn't just mean talk. Like you have to listen well. You have to receive well. You have to talk at length and sometimes ad nauseum. Like sometimes it requires over communication.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
In our personal lives, though, it's so often that we're not conditioned to apply that sensibility. And so much of our personal lives would improve if we were as dogged about the tenets and principles of a healthy operation the way we are in business. So it's like, again,
sometimes it's not natural. It doesn't come naturally sometimes, right? So you have to commit yourself to becoming a learner to the craft.
Right.
And developing that skill set.
But it's something that immediately rewards. Like deciding I'm gonna operate as a professional me. Yeah. In whatever areas and aspects, which means that I'm going to communicate and over communicate, which means I'm going to over deliver. I'm going to under promise and over deliver. Yes. It means I'm going to hedge, and I'm going to make sure that the things over here are taken care of, and my priorities are always in line. And I'm not flying by the seat of my pants. And I'm respectful of other people and their position and their interests. And like I'm not just trying to take. Right? Because that's not a sustainable business model.
No, right? It's not.
And it's not a sustainable personal model either.
Nope.
You know what I mean? But those things that we applaud and laud in business, the society that we live in and have lived in, it's not just us, but those things aren't presented as non-negotiables in personal life. You know what I mean? It's like, everybody's kind of figuring out their own way when it comes to the personal thing. It's like, no, the answer is the same answer. Like, be a professional. Yeah. Be a professional you. Don't be an amateur you. Be a professional you. Yes. And that'll allow you to
operate with knowing what your core values are. Yeah. Understanding that. Right.
Right. And like you said, like understand it and then operate in it. Like be it. You know what I
mean? We have core values within our organization and our team, and our young people know them as well. And one of it's communication, communication, community, investment, excellence. Yeah. All of that is important. Integrity. That's the fifth. It's important in how we operate, how we engage. Because if you don't think about it, it won't show up.
Yeah.
Literally, if you're not intentional with things, it will go by the wayside.
Yep.
And so it's important to be thinking about yourself in that way.
Yeah.
Perfect example. When I was a college student, I had an event, and I was like, okay, I have this event. And I was doing this flyer real quick before Canva. I was working up with Adobe Photoshop with some layers.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Because I was on a budget. Okay. Right. Free.com. And I sent it out to one of my professors, and she said something real, I can't remember what she said, but it kind of hurt. But she could have just said, you got a typo. Okay. But she said a whole bunch of other things. Yeah. And it was just one word, but it was a valuable lesson. Triple check your work.
Yeah.
Before it goes out, because it's a reflection of who you are. It's a reflection of your brand. It's a reflection of how well people receive you and appreciate you. And from that point on, I taught myself. I retaught myself how to communicate, how to draft business letters. Inc.com was my best friend. I read everything from like the startup growth. Back to when Catherine Minshew, who did she had something called the Muse or the Daily Muse, which is like a career development website for professional women, and then it morphed into other things. But I read every article. You know what I mean? Like you condition to get better. And you kind of slice off all distractions. I was literally slicing. There was some good things back in my 20s. I can say that I was disciplined. And I had a word and I focused on it. I was like, I'm going to be disciplined.
Right. Yeah. I love that you mentioned excellence among the core principles. Because like excellence is as all other principles are, excellence is something that you have to intentionally exercise. With or without reward. There's no transaction in excellence. It's just because. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And excellence is a thing that it allows it. Excellence is something that puts a certain standard on what your output is, right? But it also is something that rewards. It goes back to like the looking yourself in the eye thing. It's like when you just operate in excellence, you operate in a way that's better for everybody. Like excellence is not something that allows you to simply satisfy yourself and think I'm so awesome and I'm so excellent. If it's truly excellent, it benefits everybody.
And it transforms, right? And so it's not this fixed state that you're in. And sometimes your excellence, you're 20 when you're excellent. That's different. Okay. You're trying to achieve. You're at your own excellence. So it will look different for everybody. And so it's fluid, I think. At least for me, I think it's fluid and it's something worth achieving. Because when you reach for something, you're guaranteed to grow. But if you're staying stagnant and not reaching at all, you're gonna stay in the same place. So you might as well reach and move than stay in the same place.
I would be remiss if we didn't actually discuss the GEM project. So for anybody who hears this and sees this and doesn't know what it is, can you speak about the GEM project?
Definitely. The GEM project is a nonprofit organization that's based out here in Newark, New Jersey. And what we do is we provide paid year-long fellowships for high school students and college-age students from age 16 to 24 to work on social justice issues surrounding our justice pillars around education, health, criminal justice, and democracy. And so we teach every young person about the structure of organizing and actually being trained as youth organizers and identifying issues and how to validate that they're actual issues and not assuming that they're issues and going out to the community and to really understand what these issues are and how to address them. and then mobilize and engage with elected officials or decision makers to address those issues. And so we introduce them along a school year type fellowship, and we also provide summer programming as well.
Yeah. Why?
Why
are you doing this?
Why? Because it makes the world better. In the sense, when young people are at the helm of anything, they can do big, bold things. And I truly believe that.
Yeah.
They have never, I've never doubted them. When I say about really understanding the greatness of youth, I stand behind a young person most times than I would an adult who may not, understand the brilliance of what it means for a youth to look at things for the first time.
Yeah.
And then, when they understand certain mechanics and things and how they would apply, how to address things, how they would engage their peers, it comes from a different type of angle that is worth being appreciated.
Yeah.
I also do it because, as a young person, I know what it's like to have someone who's close to you, maybe a particular family member or whatever, who may not necessarily believe in you, right? I was fortunate to have a great mother and everything like that, but I've also experienced the other end of things where it's kind of like, you'll never amount to anything. And if I didn't have the other piece, I'm not too sure I would be here the way that I am right now. You know what I mean? And acknowledging that is why I believe in youth, and I back everything into them. Yeah. Because I don't know what other things that are happening in their sphere that can take them outside their sphere of greatness. Because I believe when you believe in a young person, they can do magnificent things. Truly magnificent things. They'll go above and beyond.
Yeah, agreed.
When they feel like you have their faith, they can move mountains in ways that adults may not. Yeah. And I'm not saying like we all are young people, so I'm not bashing us adults. No. But it's because they're undervalued in this community. They're undervalued in this world that we don't give them the chance. But when we're able to, we'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like if you just were to if all things being equal, just the sheer math of the thing, more times than not, it will be older people who want the status quo to remain. Like that's the you know what I mean?
I understand.
And yet all of us are talking about how things need to change, right? On top of that,
it was young people who built the movements.
Absolutely.
Come on now.
Absolutely.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
We are living through the greatness of youth who came before us.
Yeah. Yep.
Isn't that true?
That's a fact. Yeah.
It's literally every.
Yep.
This is what moves our world.
Yep.
Young people.
Yeah. And then when you think about things, time is moving in one direction.
Yeah.
Right? And it's so evident that things only go in one direction when something threatens to roll back. Anytime anything threatens to roll back, whether it's DEI, Roe versus Wade, like democracy or oligarchy, whatever the thing is, it's like anytime something threatens to harken back to the past, it stops everybody because we know that's wrong.
Yes.
And yet we don't lean into the young people who are more invested in the future and in change, and B, more capable of enacting the positive future change. You know what I mean? Because of the vantage point that they sit at. And, first of all, applause to you for doing this.
Thank you.
Doing what you're doing and doing it the way you're doing it.
Thank you.
But also, to your point, it's like somebody has to take on the revolutionary stance of investing in young people because that's the right direction to go.
Yeah.
And also, to your point, them being not just investing in young people in terms of like, teaching them what we know.
Yeah.
But like you said, like putting them at the helm and putting them in a place where you stand behind them.
Yes.
And they lead the way forward.
Yeah.
Because
or next to them, I would say.
Or next to them.
Yeah.
Right? But most often or oftentimes there is this like choke chain put on young people when they're given an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And should they stumble, should they fail, should they come up short, it's like, oh, see, this is why you can't let young people, It's like, wait a minute. Old people are fucking up all the time, everywhere.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Can't you gotta extend the same grace.
Yeah. And the people who know better are making
when you
bigger
fail,
mistakes.
you excel.
Talk that talk.
No, when you fail, you excel. It's the fear of failure that holds us back.
Yeah.
Not, and young people are fearful sometimes of failing because we're conditioning them to.
Yeah.
We set up these systems where we create that fear.
Right.
And what we find often, especially in the Gem Project, is that we have to get to a space where, we have a young person to feel comfortable voicing their thoughts and ideas. And when we ask them, what do you think about this? That they can say it quickly. But we get to that stage when they're comfortable, right? Because of that dynamic of not being as comfortable sometimes in hearing your own voice because you're never asked really, what do you really think? Right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, you want to what's the right answer, miss? I'm like, no, it's not the right answer. What do you really think?
Yeah, because failure is depicted as this bottomless pit that you can never climb out of once you fall in. When the reality is, failure is at its worst landing at the ground.
Yeah.
Which means that all you have to do is stand back up. Just get back up.
Yes.
There is a solid ground that you can stand on.
Yes.
And get back up. It's not a bottomless pit that you just can't never find your footing again.
And you'll never go wrong as long as you have your integrity.
Yeah.
And you do no harm. So that's the only thing. My greatest fear, or not say, maybe that's the wrong phrase, but I don't want to ever know a space and time where I've lost my integrity and I'm doing harm. Yeah. Intentionally.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can do harm unintentionally without,
Right.
But once your integrity and you're doing harm intentionally, you've lost.
Yeah. I hear you.
You've entered that.
Yep.
You need to come back. Okay?
Yeah.
And you can't let ego or anything get the best of you in this type of work.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I really, really appreciate you, man. I really, really do.
This is one of the best interviews I've had.
What's up?
Yeah, come on, do it again.